Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this evening's meeting, Taft City Council successor meeting for Tuesday, August the 21st. As a courtesy to all, please turn off, silence your cell phones or put them on vibrate. I'm gonna let everybody shuffle and dig them out of their pockets and purses. Thank you very much for doing that. We're gonna begin this evening's meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, who's gonna be led by Jason, our city attorney, and followed by the invocation from Rich Johnson with the First Assembly Church. If you'll join us, please.
Salute and pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please bow your heads. Heavenly Father God, we first just thank you for who you are and God for all you've done for us. And Lord, we just pray for tonight, this evening, this meeting, God, that you just guide our minds, our thoughts. God, let us be in unity. Give us clarity on decisions that need to be made. And most of all, God, just be the center of this tonight. God, let everything that needs to take place, take place. God, every decision that needs to be made, God, let it not be of selfish motives, but let it be of you and what's best for this city. And we just give you the praise in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, may we have a roll call, please?
Mayor Knorr,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Hill,
Here.
Councilmember Bryant,
Here.
Councilmember Cryer,
Here.
Councilmember Miller.
Here.
All right, first item on this evening's agenda, citizens request public comments. This is the time and place for the general public to address the city council on matters within its jurisdiction. State law prohibits the council from addressing any issue not previously included on the agenda. Council may receive comment and set the matter for a subsequent meeting. Please limit comments to 5 minutes. First up this evening, Jamie Switala. Jamie, if I butchered your name, straighten me out when you come on up here. I'm supposed to have a couple of meetings and lunches with Jamie, and I've been too busy, so I look forward to doing just that.
Yes, of course, likewise. Well, good evening, Mayor Knorr and the members of the City Council. As the mayor stated, my name is Jamie Switala, and I work for Aera Energy, one of California's leading oil and gas producers headquartered here in Kern County. We also have operations right up the road, Midway Sunset, so ultimately we're your neighbors. Aera employs more than 1,000 people directly and thousands of contractors across California. Now, Taft has a special place in my heart because I attended Taft College right before going to Dickinson State University.
There you go.
So I'm looking forward to getting involved in the Taft community. In my new role as public affairs rep for Aera, I will be supporting Southern Kern County, including Taft, and I'm introducing myself as the point of contact for Aera Energy. Aera accounts for about 25% of the state's oil production, and we are committed to safety and responsibility by producing that oil that enables millions of Californians to travel to work. It also allows business to grow and thrive and helps California-grown food arrive at the dinner tables. And just like our neighbors, safety is our safety, success is also our success. We're not only proud to support local communities through providing jobs, we're proud of our partnerships with community organizations and our investments in building stronger neighborhoods and cities together. Aera remains committed to being a strong partner in the Taft community, so please don't hesitate to give me a call when you see ways we might be able to work together to resolve any community issues. So over the next few weeks, I'll be reaching out to your offices to request an opportunity to sit down with you to answer any of your questions about the energy industry or Aera itself. I hope that in the future we might be able to collaborate for future projects and anything you may see that we may be able to help in the community. I have business cards here with my phone number, so you can give me a call, email, or whatever is at your convenience. I just want to thank you so much for your time and have a good evening.
Thank you very much, Jamie. Since Jamie came up here, I'm going to read this letter. As a result of in the interview that took place at Taft Airport, a lot of people have seen it, a lot of people have not. But it kind of ran like wildfire through the industry. I received this letter on the 17th of August. This is from Era Energy. Christina Sistrunk, who is the President, Chief Executive Officer of Era Energy. And she writes, "Dear Mayor Knorr, I would like to express my appreciation for your inspiring actions on Monday, July 30th, 2018. I know you are very busy, but I am grateful that you made time to educate Greenpeace on the oil and gas industry, our contributions to the quality of life in California, and how the industry believes in protecting communities such as Taft. You represent the city and the industry with such dignity, and your actions provided a prime example of how we look to change the narrative about our industry. We are not only proud to support local communities by providing jobs, we're proud of our partnerships with community organizations and our investments in building stronger neighborhoods and cities together. Thank you for so eloquently expressing that on Monday. As a California company, Era cares about providing energy that ensures the prosperity for all Californians. We are proud to operate within the city of Taft and look forward to the future. Thank you, Mr. Mayor." Signed, Christina Sistrunk, CEO of Era Energy. So very kind of her to take the time and send that letter. And I'll talk about it a little bit later on, but the whole interview process and the press that we as an industry and we as a city received from it was all very, very positive. I think about 99.9% based on what I read. So thank you very much for coming before us and introducing yourself. I really appreciate you taking the time to do that. And I plan on thanking Christina for taking the time to do that as well. All right. Next up, Kathy Edgecombe.
Hi, Kathy Edgecombe, 824 Mallory Court. I assume most of you know that we serve meals every night down at St. Andrew's Church. We call it St. Andrew's Social. It's a partnership between St. Andrew's and Sharon Corporation. And I have a visual for you tonight. A week ago Monday, we decided to gather statistics on who we were serving, and we thought you might find it useful. So the page that says Sandwich Social Snapshot, it covers the week of August 13th through August 20th. That's 8 days. And between that time, we served 57 unduplicated individuals. The breakdown was we served 39 males, 18 females. We served 30 homeless, 27 non-homeless people. We served 8 minors, most of them accompanied by an adult, one wasn't. We served 5 people in the age range of 18 to 25. We served 17 in the age range from 26 to 40, and we served 27 in the 40-plus age range. Of the homeless individuals, 19 were male, 11 were female, 1 was under the age of 18, 3 were in the 18 to 25 category, 12 were in the 26 to 40 category, and 14 were in the over 40 category. What I did was I asked them 4 questions when they came through to be served. What's their first name? What's their age? Were they homeless, yes or no? And how long have they been in Taft? Okay, so then I compiled everything, and this is what we came up with. As far as the residency, of the 57 individuals, 1 person had been here for 6 months. All 56 of the others had been here for multiple years, from 4 to 66. And on the back side of the page is the night-to-night statistics, what we had. We served 143 meals, and 57 of those people, were unduplicated people, so the other 86 meals means that they came more than once, okay? on 8:15, it looks kind of weird from the others because I wasn't there that night, and they just kept a count of how many were there, and they only took information on the new people that hadn't shown up on the other 2 nights. So those parentheses are the 2 new people, what their statistics are. But anyway, the reason I wanted to show you that is because, we never kept track, and I wanted to know myself. And one of the surprising things was that in that 18 to 25 age category, we're not seeing them, very few. And in the over 40 category, we're seeing a lot. So the one thing they all have in common is poverty. The homeless, there's a variety of reasons for the homelessness, but the one thing that ties them all together is poverty. So I thought that maybe, I know that Councilman Cryer's been down there to see what's going on, but I don't think anybody else has. So that's why I wanted to give you this snapshot, so you know exactly what we're doing. Okay?
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for bringing that to the council.
Well, it goes to dispel the rumor that people are being shipped in here. Out of 57 residents or people that are in the Taft area, only one has only been here for 6 months. So
Great dispeller of rumor. All right, next up would be the Reverend Heather Mueller.
So, good evening, Mayor Knorr and Council.
there you go.
Thank you. So, I've been here 5 years, and I want to sort of do a parting comment. We've been involved with this program for 2 years, and as Kathy has pointed out, and we've already known because I took an informal survey some months ago, that these people are our own people. These are Taft people. So I want to start out by saying that in any community, it is as strong as its weakest link. This community has huge numbers of strengths. First of all, it has a really, really beautiful history. That high school is gorgeous. You've got programs in this town like the ARC. I mean, that is such a well-organized program, and so many people are being served. And we've got the TIL program, which you've heard me say before is state-of-the-art. I know that people from all over the United States come and take a look at the TIL program and try to replicate it somewhere else. But the weakest link in this town is that population we call homeless and living on the margins, the people who are poor, the people who are in need. The second point I want to make is about Jesus. I know something about Jesus. I preach about Jesus every Sunday. And I want to tell you that Jesus never said one word about homosexuality, one of the big subjects in the minds of many. Jesus never said a single word about the right to bear arms or the right for a woman to control her body one way or the other. Never said a word about that. What Jesus talked about over and over and over and over again was how we treat the people who are poor, how we feed the hungry, clothe the naked, release the captives. Not only did Jesus, he had some good teachers named Ezekiel, Jeremiah, Isaiah, Zechariah. All of those prophets spoke over and over and over again about the importance of caring for the people on the margins. And as you know, they had crops with the first 3 rows were available to the people who were gleaning. Taft has had a glorious history, and I know this by looking at the pages of St. Andrew's history book and looking at the attendance records of St. Andrew's. And it's not the reality now. The reality is that we've got some homeless folks in this town, and Kathy has given you some information about 1 week a 1-week window. And so it's a little information. It's a bit of information. So what I really want to say as my parting comment is, if we don't take care somehow of this community, and I know that there are people that are taking advantage, I know that there are people that are using the systems, I know all that. And Jesus said we will always have the poor with us. If we don't take care of that, I really worry about the soul of Taft, this beautiful town that I've called my home for 5 years. In this town, I have many, many friends. I've done many, many things. But I worry about the soul. And so you folks right there need to set the pace. And I pray and hope that you will hear these statistics, you will take this message to heart, and you will make some effort to provide a space for these people that are in need. Thank you.
Heather, thank you very much. Appreciate you coming before the council. Next up, Justin Bishop.
Hi, thank you for listening. I'm homeless. I didn't plan it this way. I don't think anybody homeless planned it that way. I planned on living in Maui with an older woman by this time. But I'd like to ask you to please reconsider opening the bathrooms uptown, because they're very important to some people and people like me. Not all homeless people are drug addicts, thieves, and liars. I want you to know that for sure. And but we do have to use the bathroom. And you know, it's hot outside. We drink a lot of water. When you drink a lot of water, you got to go to the bathroom, and it's tough when there's nowhere to go uptown. And just like to consider that, and thank you for that.
All right. Thanks for coming before the council, Justin. Next up, Carol Fitzsimmons.
I'm good, Dave. I'm good.
You good? All right. All right. Thank you, Carol. All right. Next up, Marie. I'm sorry, Marie, with the community garden. Oh, okay. Please come forward. I beg your pardon. I couldn't quite get that one.
Thank you so much. The last name is Covello. A lot of people say Cavale, but it's actually
Cavallo,
Italian.
I did not want to butcher your name, so thank you.
No, that's okay. Thank you so much for having me. Basically, what I want to do is I am from the community garden. I am the manager of the community garden, and we just want to call the community garden into kind of the light, okay? We recently lost some great board members, and people kind of think that the community garden has gone away. We're still here. We're still here. We're still fighting for it. Anyway, we have had some theft issues, and I want to say thank you ever so much, Chief. You have made a real difference. You really have. And I want to thank every single one of your officers very much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Chief's not here today.
Oh.
I'm sitting in we're here.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm sorry.
For the record, Marie is addressing the Taft
Yes.
Police Department, and they're very
Yes.
capable members. So
Yes, yes, definitely. And, you know, they have done a great job for us, and we do appreciate that. We have caught a couple of people, and there is a camera there at the garden, and, you know, we're going to kind of try to enclose it a little bit better so that we're able to catch thieves that don't belong there. You know, I mean, people that want food, hey, I'll give you whatever food we got. You know, that's not the issue. But what they're doing is they're actually breaking into the sheds, stealing, and it's not for food. You know, so that's basically it. We also have another great sponsor, and that's Synagro. Synagro has really stepped up, and they've really supported us. You know, they do a lot for us. We're going to be getting some mulch and everything, and you know, so basically, I just wanted to say thank you to the whole garden community. I mean, you guys have been great, and we're going to be a lot more visible, and just thank you very much.
thanks for coming before the council.
Sure.
We appreciate the report. Keep it green. I look at that every time I go to True Value, as a matter of fact.
Okay.
All right, I do believe that's it for the public statements. Next up, item number 2, council statements, non-action. We'll begin this evening with Mayor Pro Tem Hill.
Thank you, Mayor. Last night, I had the privilege of a ride-along with Sergeant Bilby. That was a very enlightening experience. We went around and we talked to approximately a dozen homeless people last night. Very interesting. We have people with addictions, we have people with mental illness, and there's a lot of confusion in these people. Remember, it's very hot outside. They're not always getting the water they need. Sometimes they can be even more delusional. I mean, it was very interesting to watch each and every one of these people. There was one young man that was rummaging around in the garbage, and we were talking to him, and he was very honest. He came and he allowed me to ask some questions, and of course, Sergeant Bilby is asking him numerous questions. By the way, I just want everybody to know, and yes, I am going to embarrass you a little bit, we have a true jewel in having Sergeant Bilby. He genuinely cares about all of us. He spent the time to gently talk to each of these people, to ask them questions, to help get answers that I needed so I understood things. But he also asked them questions to try to get them help. Each person, he talked to them about options to better their lives. Are you hungry? What are you doing? It was very enlightening for me. One young man who talked about his heroin addiction. For me, this was something I have never talked to anybody about. It's something that I don't understand, and I've never actually even spoke to anybody about. Very thin, very frail, very sad looking. He gets in the garbage cans, of course, and first thing that he was asked was, are you from Taft? Yeah, he's from Taft. And by the way, of the 12 we spoke to, every one of them was either born in Taft or came to Taft as children. These are Taft people. Another question that was asked is, have you ever seen any of the missions bringing people over and then leaving them from Bakersfield? No, none of them have. I think some of the things that a lot of people are going, well, why didn't you write them a ticket? Okay, well, a ticket could have been written, and then eventually enough tickets are written, and these people will go before a judge, and they will have a fine that they cannot afford, and a lien will be put on their driver's license. So someday, if they do get their self together, they're going to have more problems. And why didn't you arrest them? So we're going to arrest somebody who is going to be out in hours, and we're going to tie up one of our officers that we don't have enough of anyway, and for what could be several hours. Well, why didn't you run him out of town? Do we get the privilege of running everybody out of town that we don't like? So I don't like people in red shirts. Do I get to run you out of town because I don't like that red shirt? Do we get to gather people together and run them out because we don't like them? Honestly, that is something that every one of us has thought when we're angry or upset because we don't like these people. We need to look at this ethically, logically, and legally. And I will tell you that my entire opinion of this has changed with last night. It was an enlightening, and I do mean an enlightening experience. One of the advantages I think that we have over Bakersfield is we have a very small group. It feels like a large group, and I admit it's different than when we were kids. I remember, not seeing this, but it's not just that Taft has changed, our world has changed. Bakersfield has hundreds and hundreds upon hundreds of these. They just received a $5 million grant that's probably going to get eaten up mostly with administration, truly. We have 30-ish, 40-ish. Each one of these people has a story. Each one of these people has a problem. Not all of them are fixable, and some of them are truly jerks. There's no doubt about it. But some of them, there's light at the end of the tunnel. There truly, truly is. I'm hoping that the council will consider the possibility of an ad hoc committee that we can have here so that we can have maybe 2 of us. I know Mr. Bryant and I both are interested in this, possibly 2 commissioners. But most importantly, we need to have Officer Bilby, who is the one who has built an incredible rapport with these people. Now, I'm not saying that he's soft on them or coddling them. What I'm saying is he's talking to them. He's respecting the fact that these are human beings and they deserve to be listened to. There are several of them that are so mentally ill, they just don't know which ends up. They truly don't. Some of them have drug addictions that they don't know which ends up. Some of them are just truly a hot mess. But each of these people has the possibility of being helped. Officer Bilby gave each one of these people, and oddly enough, they all have phones usually too. He gave each of these people papers talking about where they can get help and asking them a question, are you ready? Do you want to go? And offering to get them there. So I will say that I have always had a very negative view. I don't know all the answers, but I'm hoping that the council will consider us working on something. But I do think the most important person is standing at the back of the room. That's all I have.
All right. Thank you very much. Well, we'll just work our way down the dais.
Thank you, Mr.
Councilman
Mayor.
Bryan.
Well, it's I'm glad you had the opportunity to go with Sergeant Bilby, and I'm going to echo every single statement she made about Sergeant Bilby. There's not, and all due respect to our other officers out there, those folks are out there busting their butts for the city of Taft and the citizens there, but Officer Bilby has a heart for this community, and indisputable, and I could not appreciate that anymore. He's definitely not soft on those folks, but he has a heart. He understands that they have a plight, and he needs to understand that plight to help them, not just put a boot in their butt. If they need it, he'll offer it in a heartbeat. He's not quick on the trigger, but definitely one to offer help when needed. I, too, had the opportunity to spend some time with Officer Bilby on the 3rd of August. Spent about 8 hours with Officer Bilby cruising around Taft as part of my duties on the Citizen Volunteer Unit. Surprisingly enough, and it really kind of lends credence to what you guys saw, Kathy, we interacted with 2 people in 8 hours. So slightly less than what you get, but it leads me to have some other thoughts, and we'll talk about that in a minute. 2 folks. Both folks, when we interacted with these guys, we asked them, how long have you been in Taft, or are you from Taft? Sure. One said 15 years he'd been in Taft, generally homeless about the last year, 2 years. Another one had been in Taft more than 25 years and had been homeless by and large for the last 15. Couch surfs when he has to when the weather gets bad, but his response when asked, what keeps you on the street? Surprisingly enough, by and large, the response was, like the independence of it, like the freedom. They don't necessarily like having to scrounge, but they also understand that kind of comes with the territory. So they're willing to accept it, and I think that's a tough battle to fight. When you fight a battle when somebody has nothing to lose, they don't have anything to give up. It's what they know. And to offer them something different to change course, that's a difficult battle to win. That lends credence to when folks talk about doing outreach and how many times it takes to touch somebody with information to get them to accept it. And even then when they do accept it, how small a proportion it is to the overall contact of individual and duplicated people that you do contact. So like I said, we spent 8 hours interacting with 2 people, and that leads me to believe that the problem is far beyond just homeless, but it's drug abuse, it's going to be vagrancy, and those are issues we need to address as well, and I know the PD does a great job. In talking to, in lending credence what Councilwoman Hill said, one thing to remember is people immediately want these people to be picked up and taken to jail. Generally, we've got 2, maybe 3 officers on shift, at any given time. And covering the outlying areas of Taft, 700 square miles, we've got 1 deputy, maybe 2 on the weekends. So in total, I don't know how many square miles it is between where the sheriff's and our jurisdictions overlap, but you're talking somewhere between 700 to 1,000 square miles for people on a good day. We're out there. So let's say you find somebody that is hopped up on drugs and it's time to take them to jail. Well, guess what? If they've got a medical problem, those folks have to be transported to CRF downtown in Bakersfield. And guess who has to do that? One of our uniformed officers. We don't have anybody else to do it, so guess what that does, folks? Take somebody off the street. And you know what they're going to get when they get CRF? They're going to get processed and they're going to get a ticket. They're going to be back home probably at the same time, or if not before the officer does. So that's a conundrum. It makes us think, is it worth it to take an officer off our street, to take them to Bakersfield to get the ticket they're going to get here anyway? Or do we cite them, give them the same ticket they're going to get, and stay patrolling our streets? And that's a decision we're going to have to talk about. It's a decision that ultimately that the police department's going to have to make for the betterment of our community. But I think it's important for folks to understand that. Our officers aren't out there not picking people up and taking them to jail because they don't want to enforce the laws. They understand them. They understand what they have to do, and they're enforcing them at every turn that they can. But they also are realistic, and they understand taking themselves off the street. We had this issue not long ago when we were talking about Hall Ambulance not having folks here to cover. We had the same folks when people were up in arms about not having medical coverage here. Well, wouldn't we feel the same way about not having law enforcement coverage here? Something to think about, folks. I'm not saying I like it, because at the end of the day, if somebody needs to go to jail, they need to go to jail, because that's ultimately going to help put a Band-Aid on the problem. But we also have to understand what that Band-Aid's doing, all right? Real quick, one of the things I looked at this last weekend is an article that was in the Sacramento Bee, August 2nd. It was titled, "California Has Mental Health Billions. It's Time to Improve How They're Spent." In 2004, the state of California voters passed a millionaire's tax. You paid on your income tax return, folks. Nothing new. Billions of dollars goes into state coffers. In 2017, $230 million of state tax revenue went unspent at the county level on mental health services. What's the driver of most of this homelessness and drug addiction issue, guys? Mental health problems. So it's up to us to demand that our state officials and our local officials utilize those funds they have. There have been some bills that have been put into play in the Senate, and while I'm not a big fan of government creating more government, I think it's important that they pass down some standards on how those monies are spent, because currently there are no standards as to how those mental health dollars are spent. So they go to counties, and the counties get to choose how they're spent. I'd like to know how our county's spending them, so that's a question I'm going to be asking our supervisors and our county staff. I'd like to know what we're doing, so then we could ask as a city, folks, we need to get some of those services. We need to make sure that folks here who need the services have access. I spent the 45 minutes prior to this meeting talking to 3 homeless people just across the way on Kern Street. Actually, it was 6 of them after 3 others came along. By and large, their response was they don't know where to go, and if they do go to a place, they get the runaround. They have a very hard time finding services. So if they don't ask pointed questions, they don't get the pointed answers. They get the runaround, and it just perpetuates the problem. Now, granted, I know there's people out there, and Councilwoman Hill talked about it, who know those pointed questions. They ask them, and they hustle the system. That happens. But at the end of the day, the people who need the services need to know how to access them, or otherwise they're going to continue to perpetuate and expand that problem. And that's something we need to demand from our state and local officials. And so that's something I'd like to take up, as Councilwoman Hill mentioned. So I know it's a big problem, folks. It's not one that we're turning a blind eye to as a city. I can tell you, by and large, our staff are definitely not doing that. And there's more work to be done. No one has all the answers. No one ever will, because there's going to be another problem that branches off of this. But it's definitely something we need to take a look at. And one last thing, Mr. Mayor, Taft Local, Mr. Rick Vaughn, I want to say congratulations and thank you, my brother, for earning a Purple Heart in service to us all. Thank you very much. That's all I have.
All right. Thanks, sir. Councilman Cryer.
Thank you, Mayor. Since talking on the subject of homelessness and stuff, there really is no answer. There's only parts of answers, all the questions and stuff. It's not an easy fix, very complicated. Everybody has different issues, different needs, and the city, we have a police force that's out there that monitors it and a law and order, and see that the laws aren't broken and stuff. But we do have, issues of with them, hurting some business and stuff. But there's help out there with the new laws that came to pass in Sacramento. And I blame Sacramento for a lot of it. And people keep voting for the people in Sacramento that pass things that create the homelessness. There used to be a home for the people who have mental issues, where they're taken care of, get their proper medication, their food, and better lifestyle. But they make it so that they can't be there without their decision, their own free will. So who out there on the street that has a mental problem want to go to a mental hospital to get well? Heck no, they want to go. I wouldn't blame them. But if the law's there, to help them. So that's taken away. So you're going to see a lot of mental people out there running around that need help, but because of the lawyers in our Sacramento, they can't be put in those homes. There's other areas of drugs and stuff. Some people make poor choices in life and go on drugs. I didn't create it. I'm sure their parents didn't, but they got in the atmosphere. There's drugs and stuff. But there's places where they can go. If they get in the past where they got caught using drugs or distributing drugs, they can go to a rehab, at least for 90 to 120 days to get dried out. But that's gone. Unless you go there voluntarily or pay for it and have it done. There's also the homeless on there are career thieves. I don't care what you do, they're going to be thieving. They're going to take things of opportunity. They're going to go in their backyards, in people's homes, or see things and they'll take it and stuff, and they're going to do it. And we just can't let that happen with our police force. They see that. We need to prosecute them all, so hopefully they'll break the cycle of thieving. And it also, the hardship. We all had hard times in our life, some more than others. So that's what family's for, brothers and sisters. The churches. I take it upon the churches. They know their flock. They know what people need and what needs to be done to them to help them out. Maybe help pay their rent and help pay a few bills, get caught up on their feet to get their job back from layoffs or a divorce or whatever unfortunate thing comes comes about. That's what the churches are there for, to help monitor that and take care of it. And there's some people here in town. I know of an individual that several people have been helping out. You know, she used to work there at Rite Aid at one time. She had a health issue that came about, but she don't take drugs or ask and break into things and all that. But she has some issues. But you know, just needs a little bit of handout to maybe find a job somewhere, an easy job that she can be able to cope with and do things and be a productive part of society again. And that's one. Some people's goal. I can mention some names that I've been helping graciously. You know, they're unsung heroes. They do things, but they don't want. They do it in private, and I respect that. I know who they are, and I respect that. And there's easy fruit picking to help some people to improve their lifestyle. But I do commend Sergeant Bilby and the police department and stuff. They have a tough deal out there, and they see it all in there. But there's some things you have to look and help them out a little bit, and there's things that some of the people they want to do commit to hard crime. They're the ones that we need to get off the streets. And I want to commend our Councilman Miller. He donates his time a lot at the Need Center. He knows what's going on out there, and what's happening. He knows which ones come in there that needs the food, and the ones that come in here and take the stuff and throw it in the trash can or sell it or dump it and stuff. But he does it without even asking. People don't even know what he does there. He just does it because he wants to do it. He knows what's happening. But there are people who needs help, and there are some that don't need help. But it's been how you classify them and what you can do. I like helping get people's, two different deals. People who really need a hand, teach them how to fish. Just give them the bread and stuff doesn't do it. But that's what the churches need to help out and direct them to the right places and stuff. And if they're not going to the right places, that's where we're failing at, as far as what we're up against. But it's out there, and it's all homegrown. But it's not going to be an easy fix. Like I say, every bit's a little bit different, a little bit complicated. But we have a lot of great people in our community that over time we can make it happen. The gentleman brought up about bathroom and stuff. I like to see the bathrooms open up again, but it's hard to open the bathrooms up when you got certain individuals that go in there and do drugs in the bathroom, do sexual things in the bathroom, and somebody open the door up and see something going on, or putting feces on the walls and stuff. Our city workers don't want to go in there and be exposed to that, have to clean the walls up all the time. How do you monitor it? And we got something that get in control of, then maybe our bathrooms will be opened up again. Until then, we just can't. Just if someone has a better idea, we're all open. The city's open to it. We're not hard on our citizens that are less fortunate. Another thing too is, don't give them money. That enables them. Use it for. There's some exceptions, there is some exception, but most of the time, don't enable them by giving them money. All they're going to do is go to alcohol and drugs and stuff. Let them go for food, go for help. That encourage them to go for help. Not let them be enabled. That's pretty much what I have on the homeless part of it, but change the subject, the community garden, there is an opportunity for the citizens here to start getting ready for their fall crops right now. There's a lot of spaces available for planting broccoli, carrots, radishes, Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, all that stuff getting ready to start planting right now. There's just stuff for your winter crop coming up. I encourage people to take advantage. For $40, that's that includes the water, the fertilizer.
A year.
It's for a whole year. You can get 3 crops, either spring, winter, and summer in there. You can get all 3, different crops for different season. And I encourage it. It's very inexpensive, and we're looking for help. Anybody wants something to do? We're always looking for volunteers. We're always looking for board members. And I encourage somebody to get involved in our community effort and be part of our community. That's all I have, Mayor.
All right. Next up, Councilman Miller.
It's not an easy problem, but you wouldn't have drug users if you didn't have drug dealers. And I don't think that's going to solve the whole thing, but we need to concentrate on the drug dealers. Same with thieves. Most thieves steal stuff to sell it.
You would eliminate a lot of the thieves if buyers wouldn't buy the stuff when they know that it's stolen. Oh, it's simplistic to say that, but I think it'd go a long ways if we could get people to understand that, you know, when you're buying something at an outrageous price and it's too good to be true, it is, because they stole it from somebody. So it's not homeless people that are doing all this thieving. It's people that have a place to live and possibly have vehicles. The Needs Center was hit. They're climbing over the back fence, getting into the back room, and stole 6 bikes, brand new bikes that we had available for kids that come into the center. Some homeless person isn't stealing 6 bikes in one night. I'm sorry. That's organized thievery, and they had to have some sort of vehicle to haul those off. The community gardens got broken into their shed and stole, I don't know, shovels and rakes and bags of food and plant food and all that kind of stuff. Some homeless person didn't go in there and drag that stuff off. Somebody had a car, had a truck, eyeballed and picked on a not a charity, but a nonprofit organization. The Adventist Church down on Harrison Street. They serve food and provide services. And they had a shed out in the back, and they got hit, and they stole all their disposable plates and forks and knives and all that stuff that come in packages, and they went in there and stole all that. So, that's not homeless people doing that. That's despicable thieves that we have in this town that pick on nonprofits because they're an easy target. I wish we could do something, Justin, about the bathroom issue, but unless the people that are using those bathrooms can police themselves, it's not going to be solved, and they're probably not going to be open. You wouldn't want to go in that bathroom and clean it up, so why should the city? We're not mandated to provide those. We'd love to provide those, and maybe portables, but until this population polices themselves and appreciate the fact that we do have a restroom available for them to use. It's like most anything, you got 10% of the bad players that are causing the problems for the rest of the 90%. So until we can I don't know how we get it reassured that that's going to happen until this council decides that, well, we'll give it another shot. The bathrooms are going to remain closed. So that's sad, but that's kind of a fact of life. So anyway, I've lived here most of my life, and we got to remain positive. We can't let this stuff kind of drag us down. There's a lot going on. You see it on 6th Street. Saw it going on up on Front and 6th Street up there, and those neighborhoods are getting new sidewalks. 6th Street's getting refreshed. We got the new transit center. We got a hotel now. We got a lot of things going on. They broke ground across the street for the healthcare expansion of the what do you call it? Urgent care. It's not a hospital, but it's going to be expanded and hopefully expand services. And they've got a rural health care reimbursement rate now that's much better for them. And things are happening. They're going to spend $10 million on that facility. The college is going to finally get that project going and finish down there. And that was, I don't know, $15-20 million. That's in Taft, folks. That's money and projects being built in Taft. And for those that say that Taft's blowing away or it's going downhill, blah blah, I don't know where you live, but I live in Taft that's going uphill. We're not going downhill. So, Mr. Mayor, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks for ending that on a very positive note, Councilman Miller. Okay, I talked to you about, and I read the letter that we got from the CEO of Air Energy. Now I'm going to share a letter that we received from Chevron. This is dated the 6th of August. This is from the Vice President of the San Joaquin Valley Business Unit of Chevron. Dear Mayor Knorr, I wanted to take a moment to send my thanks for the way you handled a recent visit to Taft from Greenpeace. Your questions and responses to the Greenpeace activists were thoughtfully crafted and hit the mark. As you're aware, our industry comes under attack from anti-oil groups daily, and having a strong advocate such as yourself is very important. Your understanding of the industry and the importance of the vitality of the local economy was evident in your interactions with the activists and much appreciated. On behalf of all Chevron employees in the San Joaquin Valley Business Unit, thank you again for taking the time to engage Greenpeace in a dialogue about energy and making the case for how energy improves lives and powers the world forward. Sincerely, Albert Williams. When I went and I talked to those folks, I talked to them not only as a representative of the people of the city of Taft, and not only as a representative of Taft, but of the industry. We've been hearing a great deal this evening about people who impact our lives and our quality of life in our neighborhood. Well, these people, they impact it too, day in and day out, every day. They're not just employers, they're not just an industry, they are business partners. I have gone to many different places and many different functions, and one that stood out was not too long ago. I was asked to be a part of a program for the distinguished young women, and I had to go to Cal State to a big building there and present some awards to a bunch of wonderful young ladies. And as I was standing there waiting, I was looking at one of the plaques on the walls, and it talked about all the people that donated money to this. And basically it's liberal arts. A lot of doctors and organizations, but what's prevalent was the very top of the list. And that was these folks right here. If you go to the Oil Workers Monument and you look at the bronze plaques, see these folks, big bronze plaques. When it comes to the employees of the industry, when it comes to walking for cancer cures or lending a hand, fundraisers to help veterans returning from combat, youth sporting activities, any and all of the above. There is not a single part of life in our city, or for that matter in the state of California, that does not have the fingerprints of the oil and gas industry in some way, shape, or form on it. And they are our partners in this community. Very important part of it. So I felt compelled, and I know we all agree on that. We know that oil is the life's blood of our community. We've got a derrick, for heaven's sakes, on our city seal, and that's not there by chance. So I'm very proud of the fact that the biggest companies, our business partners, took the time to thank us for that interaction and the way it was received across the United States, and I got to tell you, outside the United States, Canada, Australia, just goes on and on. So I'm very proud of our oil history and our business partners in the industry. And that's how I raised my family, I got to tell you. So very proud of that, and proud to live in the city of Taft, and proud of where we have been and where we're going. Everybody has speed bumps. Everybody does. Everybody has hurdles. But you know what? This is a great place to live. I choose to live in the city of Taft. I chose to raise my children in the city of Taft, and my grandchildren come visit me right here in the city of Taft. And I'm very proud of it, no matter where I go. So just want to bring that forward.
It's nice, Mr. Mayor, that the oil industry you have sparked an interest that they have finally rediscovered Taft, when in fact we've always been here and been a supporter of oil. But as any industry goes, they get a rollover of people that come and go through that industry, and it was refreshing that you were able to let them know Taft's an oil town, Taft supports oil, and we always have and always will.
That's fact. In a state that it might not be politically correct, we don't care. We know the truth, and we will disseminate the truth in the face of adversity or in the face of any other argument. That is our goal. That is our mission. All right, moving on. Next up, Planning Commission report. Item number 3. Do we have a Planning Commission report this evening? We have a Planning Commissioner. I think we do get a report.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Jerry Livingston, Vice Chair of the Planning Committee. We had one item on our agenda, and it was essentially a workshop on proposed changes to our city sign ordinance. It's been about a year and a half ago now that the Supreme Court just threw a monkey wrench into sign ordinances around the country with I think some cases, a difficult opinion to follow. It makes sense because the opinion basically said that you can't determine signs' viability by the message that's on it. You have to have other ways to address how signs are handled within your community. And Mark has been working hard on that. I know he's been in at least a couple of APA meetings where they've discussed the same concerns that I think we've had, more than once. So that came to the Planning Commission this last month, and I expect we'll probably see it at least a couple more times before we get through with it. And that was the gist of the meeting this time. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Item number 4, department reports. Do we have any department reports this evening? Seeing none. I do believe that the Chief McMinn, planned on giving a report this evening. However, he is out of town, so he will give that report at the next council meeting. We can look forward to hearing from him then. All right. Item 5, city manager statement. City Manager Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. We received a grant from PG&E to revitalize the 3rd Street parking lot. So it's a $2,000 grant to purchase some new ground covering, some new plants, and kind of fix some of the irrigation stuff. So
Which parking lot?
3rd and Center Street.
Jackson, right?
Right.
Yeah. So we're gonna, the next month or so, when we get the money, we'll be sprucing that up, and there'll be a little press release and stuff on behalf of PG&E. So,
Did we seek that out?
yeah, they do a call for projects once a year for a community. The last time I think we used it for the Center Street planters, maybe. So just kind of following that theme and kind of doing some of the
So it was
areas.
2,000?
Yeah, great job.
$2,000.
Yeah, great.
Just keeps looking better and better, doesn't it?
That's all I have.
Another partner in our community. Thank you very much. Item number 6, city attorney statements.
Statement. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, Your Honor. Item number 7, future agenda requests. Do we have any future agenda requests this evening?
Yes.
Okay, I was looking his way. I'm going to let him read. He raised his hand, so Councilman Cryer.
I have some sad news. Ken Canos used to be our former mayor and city council member here years ago, and he's been in a home now. He has serious health issues, and I'd like to acknowledge him, a little proclamation for him and his family for the services here in Taft, and because it seems like our pillars of our community here, slowly going, and a lot of giving people, and I'd like to acknowledge him and his family.
All right.
And I also forgot.
I'll concur on that.
Okay, thank you. That what I failed to mention in my statement was that Dr. Cochran lost his wife, Charlene Kirshner. She was a very active member of the Fort, and I'd give their family condolences for the passing, and for David, for his wife. Thank you.
Okay, we have a request. I believe we have a concurrence, so move forward with that concerning Mr. Canos. Mayor Pro Tem Hill.
I would like to have us consider a homeless ad hoc committee and how to put that together, similar to how we put the economic ad hoc committee together, where we had 2 planning commissioners, 2 council members, city staff, of course, Sergeant Bilby, and then we can discuss at that point amongst the committee how to determine what citizens at large need to be on that committee. This way we can have reports, we can figure out some of the options we have, where we can really have, in-depth discussions.
Okay, well, we'll get an item placed on the agenda so we can discuss that.
Well, I will concur on that, and realizing that the County of Kern is trying to pull together all they've got, quote, homeless czar that they have hired, and they're trying to pull all these things together. So that will be a good resource for this committee, and to be able to work with them too. So it's kind of wide issue.
So we have a request and concurrence, so we'll get that one placed on the agenda as well. All right, is that it? Okay. Next up, consent calendar items 8 through 13. All items listed on the consent calendar shall be considered routine and will be enacted by one roll call vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of the City Council requests specific items to be removed from the consent calendar for separate action. Any item removed from the consent calendar will be considered after the regular business items. Are there any items on the consent calendar that any member of the public would like to comment on? Seeing none, consent calendar items 8 through 13 are: item number 8, the minutes for the August 7th regular meeting. Item number 9, the payment of bills, over $1 million worth. Item number 10, Laserfish Value Added Reseller Change. The recommendation is a motion to approve the motion to authorize the city manager to execute the Laserfish LSAP proposal with Synapse. Is that correct? Yep. Item number 11, designation of conflict of interest statement filers and assignment of disclosure categories pursuant to the Political Reform Act of 1974. Recommendation is a motion to accept the 2018 local agency biennial notice and adopt a resolution entitled, "A Resolution of the City Council of the City of Taft, designated positions required to file conflict of interest statements pursuant to the Political Reform Act of 1974, assigning disclosure categories and repealing and replacing resolution number 3785-16. Item 12 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Taft authorizing bank card services. Recommendation is a motion to adopt a resolution entitled, "A Resolution of the City Council of the City of Taft authorizing bank card services." And then finally, item 13, accept the completed work by R.C. Becker and Son Incorporated for the CDBG infill sidewalk project. Recommendation is a motion to accept the completed work by R.C. Becker and Son Inc. for the CDBG infill sidewalk project and authorize the city clerk to file the notice of completion with the Kern County Recorder. Staff further recommends the release of the 5% retention to the contractor after 30 days, pending claims or liens filed during this period. Does any council member wish to remove any of these items from the consent calendar? No. Hearing none, at this time, I would entertain a motion to approve consent calendar items 8 through 13.
Motion.
Second.
A motion is second. May we have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Miller,
Yes.
Councilmember Pryor,
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hill,
Yes.
Mayor Nor.
Yes, and pass on 5-0 vote. Thank you. Next up, item 14, consider resolutions for League of California Cities Annual Conference and authorize voting delegates to vote accordingly. City Manager Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. The 2018 League of Cities Annual Conference is scheduled for September 12th through the 14th. And at the July 17th City Council meeting, Council approved expenses for Councilman Cryer and Councilman Bryant to attend the conference. They nominated Councilmember Cryer to serve as the voting delegate for the City of Taft, with Councilmember Bryant serving as his alternate. We are now in receipt of the resolutions. Council is encouraged to determine a city position so Councilmember Cryer can represent the city's position on the attached resolutions.
All right, thank you very much, City Manager Jones. First item, consider the resolutions provided by the League of California Cities and determine the city's position. Has each of the council members had an opportunity to review these resolutions?
No, I have not.
You have not, you say?
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Okay, well, they're rather in-depth. There's a couple of them.
I was afraid of that.
The basic synopsis is the first one is the recognition that government and government decisions are best made closest to those that will be affected by them. In other words, the power of government is best yielded locally from the dais. And to not do that and to give the people up in Sacramento the opportunity to make all the rules and pass them down such that the local people don't have an opportunity to exercise access to government on a local level is a bad idea. So the resolution from the League of California Cities is to support the fact that local government and the strengths of local government should be respected and are effective and should be supported. Would you say that was a good
Absolutely.
synopsis?
Absolutely.
Okay, so that's the first resolution.
Do we vote separately on these two resolutions?
Yes,
Or
that
can
is
we
correct.
combine them?
No, you need to vote separately on
Okay,
it.
then
Correct, separately.
I'll make a motion that we vote yes on that resolution number 1.
Second that.
All right, I would concur with that.
What's that?
I said I would concur, so do we need to take a vote? All right, so let's take a vote. In those wishing to speak in favor of the resolution, in line with the League of California Cities, say aye.
Aye.
All right, that's unanimous, 5-0. So here's the direction. Understood? All right. The second resolution, a little more complicated, and it has to do with pest control and pesticides and poison control, and I'll try to give you a brief synopsis of that. And that is that there are cities out there that want to be able to make a decision outside of what is mandated by the state regarding the use of coagulant rodenticides, which would be a poison that is placed in certain places to control rodents. All right, you've seen the pellets and the anticoagulant. One would have to guess. I'm not a scientist, but if it's an anticoagulant, I believe it's going to limit the body's ability to coagulate blood and keep something from bleeding to death. What they say, those that place the resolution on the agenda of the League of California Cities, is that if you continue to look at where that ends up, then if you kill the rodent and the rodent is preyed upon by a larger animal, let's say in the San Joaquin Valley, it might be a San Joaquin Valley kit fox, then the poison is ingested by the predator. Elsewhere in the state of California, it could be a black bear, it could be a mountain lion. Matter of fact, in the report, there are numerous instances that are related regarding presence of these chemicals in the liver of mountain lions. So the gist of it is, the League of California Cities is saying, do we want to try to support and pass a resolution saying that you ought to be able to make decisions regarding these types of poisons at a local level? However, and I'll make this statement, and everybody has the opportunity to talk about this. If you read deep into that resolution, what they're saying as the League of California Cities is that in order to qualify that idea, they, the League, and of course the League is all of us, okay, and the financial burden of the League falls upon all of us, would have to hire scientists. We would have to come up with scientists. They would have to actually have access to the bodies of these bears and these predators who have ingested these poisons, and they would have to go in there and cut them up, and they would have to do their analysis, and they being the League, through their hiring of scientists and their hiring of consultants and doing these things, would have to try to make their case. Now, this is my opinion on this. I believe the League does good work when you're talking about the local taxes, financial aspects of state government that should be taken care of on a local level. I believe land use issues should be taken care of on a local level. However, I do not believe the League of California Cities, nor this city council, has qualified scientists sitting on this board that can take the opportunity to examine liver, and they can tell you just exactly what the concentrations of these poisons that are contained in there and how they got there. So it is my opinion that the League's taking on something well outside of their purview, and it could lead to a great deal of expense. In point of fact, one of the cities that's a part of this says, well, you shouldn't use traps either. So if you want to try to prevent rodents, eliminate rodents, they're saying, well, just seal up your buildings and clean the kitchens and cover the garbage cans, but you wouldn't want to set a trap to kill a rodent, and you wouldn't want to use poison to kill a rodent. I know that when I was with the Parks and Rec District, they bought a propane cannon torch, for lack of a better term, the Rodinator. And so when we had the burrowing animals that were destroying things in the softball field, you would stick this thing in the hole and you would allow some propane to go in the hole, and then you would ignite it. Poof! And it would blow the little burrowing critters up. And so you would use a trap, nor you would use poison. So that's an alternative method. But without going really, really deep into this resolution, I will tell you, after having read this and thought about downstream costs and where this could all go, I do believe this particular resolution is well outside the purview of a body that should help control local government issues that truly can be and should be controlled on a local level. So I myself say no to that particular resolution, which is another reason that I think we have to consider them separately, because they are, after all, very, very different, and they should be considered based on their own merits. So there you have it.
Thank you.
And please, anybody jump in there and interject about any other feelings they have regarding this resolution.
I would go ahead.
Go ahead, please.
I wholeheartedly agree, and I would encourage us to potentially draft a letter saying while we support, by way of our support of the initial resolution, the first resolution, local control is imperative. Local control, where it extends costs to an agency we pay to help us promote local control, it gets us into an expense in an area where they ultimately aren't going to thrive. They're not going to do us any good. They're going to be doing and redoing scientific tests that have been done on larger scales beyond what they'll ever do for a longer period of time. So it seems like it's a waste of money and our funds and taxpayer funds to do that. So I think it's important we draft a letter. I'd make the motion we draft a letter saying no, we do not support the second resolution, while we do wholeheartedly support local control.
All right. Any other?
I concur.
You concur? Councilman Miller?
I concur.
Concur.
All right. It would appear then, all in favor of saying no to resolution number 2, say aye.
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 All right. That's unanimous as well. So I do believe you have directions, sir.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Second is a motion to authorize the City of Taft authorized delegate to vote according to the city's determined position on the resolution. I do believe we've accomplished that goal. All right. Thank you very much. Next item on the agenda, item number 15, tri-party agreement between the City of Taft, Sunset Rails LLC, and Capital Rivers, Inc. regarding the purchase of city property, APN number 032-110-30. City Manager Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. The City of Taft and its master developer, Sunset Rails LLC, have been in property negotiations for city-owned property, APN number 032-110-30, in the Rails to Trails area. Capital Rivers, Inc. has submitted for and received Planning Commission approval for a Dollar General store on said property. Capital Rivers has requested to enter into a tri-party agreement with the city and Sunset Rails. It is consistent with the adopted disposition and development agreement, but more specific to the area of land that they wish to purchase. Attached is the final draft of the tri-party agreement for the City Council review and approval. Also attached is a draft purchase and sale agreement that will be finalized with a purchase price at the later date and brought back to City Council for review and approval.
Would you identify for the public where this piece of property is?
This property would be between Supply Row and Front Street, east of 10th, approximately 200 feet, I guess, off of 10th Street.
Immediately off the street, right?
Yeah. Both of these projects, the two projects that are going to take place down there, came before the City Council, as a matter of fact, and Mark Staples explained that in great deal. This indeed is a cleaning up of the paperwork necessary to transfer ownership of those properties. As far as the projects themselves, not only did they go through the Planning Commission and the Planning Commission recommended their approval, they came before the City Council and the City Council as well.
And this is former RDA property and is consistent with the long-range property management plan approved by the State of California Department of Finance. So we're trying to make sure we do everything correctly.
Yes, a great deal of layers of approval involved in that, but here again, we're just talking about local land use issues and what we know is best for our community. So this is a part of that. Any additional questions?
No further questions.
All right. The recommendation is a motion to approve a tri-party agreement regarding purchase of real property for 1.59 acre portion of city-owned property located at APN 032-110-30 and authorize the mayor to sign the agreement.
Motion.
Second.
A motion, a second. Any additional discussion? None? May we have roll call, please?
Councilmember Miller,
Yes.
Councilmember Pryor,
Yes.
Councilmember Bryant.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Hill.
Yes.
Mayor North.
Yes, now pass on a 5-0 vote. Thank you all. Okay, now then, I'm going to hand this off. I'm going to recess the regular meeting of the City Council, and we are going to go into the Taft Public Improvement Corporation annual meeting agenda. So I'm going to hand the gavel over to President Randy Miller.
Oh, really?
Oh, what'd I do? Huh? Oh, whoops. Well, sorry, Randy, you're back up on this one. I'm going to hand it over to Josh.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
That was too much work. I didn't
Oh,
want to
that's
be on that.
meant to eliminate that. I'm sorry.
Are you ready, Darnell? All right. All right, welcome everybody to the August 21st, 2018 annual meeting of the Taft Public Improvements Corporation. We're going to start tonight's meeting off with a roll call. Madam Clerk.
President Bryant,
Here.
Board Member Miller,
Yes.
Board Member Hill,
Yes.
Board Member Cryer,
Yes.
and Board Member North.
Here.
Fantastic. Item 1 on tonight's agenda, citizens request for public comment. Just as the last time, this is the time and place for the general public to address the corporation on matters within their jurisdiction. State law prohibits the corporation from addressing any issue not previously included on the agenda, and the corporation may receive comment and set the matter for a subsequent meeting. Please limit comments to 5 minutes. Do we have anybody in the audience who would like to speak regarding the TPIC tonight? Seeing none, we'll move on. Oh, it looks like we do have one. No problem. Sir, as you approach, would you please give your name for the record?
Yes, sir. My name's Donald Nathan Braun.
Thank you.
I'm a lifetime resident here in the city of Taft. The property that you people just discussed that was go ahead and approved for a purchase.
Sir, are you talking about the property from the previous agenda?
Right.
At this time, this meeting's not agendized for that, so we're going to have to take your questions at a later time. I do apologize.
Okay.
But we definitely can answer questions when we're done here.
That'd be fine.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Sorry about that. We're going to holler at you and saved you the pickup there. All right, item 2 is the consent agenda, items 2 through 5, excuse me. All items on the consent agenda, or the consent calendar, shall be considered routine and will be enacted by one roll call vote. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member of the corporation requests specific items to be pulled from the consent calendar for separate action. Any item removed from the consent calendar will be considered after the regular business items. Item number 2, approval of the minutes from the August 15th, 2017 annual meeting. The recommendation from staff is to approve them as submitted. Item number 3, the Taft Public Improvement Corporation's comparative analysis of changes in fund balances. The recommendation there is to receive and file the TPIC comparative analysis of change in fund balances report. Item number 4, ratification of actions taken by officers of the Taft Public Improvements Corporation during the 17-18 fiscal year. The recommendation there is a motion to ratify any and all actions taken on behalf of the corporation by directors and officers of the TPIC during the fiscal year 17-18. And item number 5, authorization of certain actions by officers of the TPIC on behalf of the corporation, with a recommendation there as well to authorize directors and officers to act on behalf of the corporation during the fiscal year 18-19. At this time, do any council members or members of the public desire to remove any items from the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'll accept a motion for approval of items 2 through 5.
Motion.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. Madam Clerk.
Board Member Miller,
Yes.
Board Member Hill,
Yes.
Board Member Cryer,
Yes.
Board Member North,
Yes.
and President Bryant.
Yes, thank you. And at this time, I will accept a recommendation a motion for adjournment.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, no opposed. This meeting's adjourned.
All right, next up is the Taft Public Financing Authority annual meeting agenda, and I am going to hand this over to the chairman, Orshel Cryer. Is that correct?
Yes.
That one is correct.
All right, there you go. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I open the Taft Public Financing Authority for August 21st, 2018. Have roll call?
Chairman Cryer,
Yes.
Board Member Bryant?
Here.
Board Member Hill? Here. Board Member Miller?
Here.
Board Member Moore?
Here.
Number 1, a citizen's request for public comments. This is a time and place for the general public to address the authority on matters within their control. State law prohibits the authority from addressing any issues not previously included on the agenda. Authority may receive comments and set the matter for a later meeting. Please limit comments to 5 minutes. Any public comments? Hearing none? Close the public comment. Consent calendars, items 2 through 5. All items listed on the consent calendar shall be considered routine and will be enacted by one roll call vote. There will be no separate discussions on these items unless a board member of the authority requests specific items to be removed from the consent calendar for a separate action. Any items removed from the consent calendar will be considered as the regular business items. 2, the approval of minutes for August 15th, 2017 annual meeting. Number 3, recommendation approve and submitted the comparable analysis of changes in fund balances, police station redevelopment projects, lease revenue bonds of 1997, CCF acquisition projects. Recommendation, motion to receive and file the Taft Public Financing Authority comparative analysis of changes in fund balances, revenue bond of 1998, police station redevelopment projects, lease revenue bonds 1997, and CCF acquisition project. Number 4, ratification of action taken by officers of Taft Public Financing Authority during the fiscal year 2017-2018. Recommendation, motion to ratify any and all actions taken on behalf of the authority by directors and officers of the Taft Public Financing Authority during the fiscal year 2018. Number 5, authorization of certain actions of officers of Taft Public Financing Authority on behalf of the authority. Recommendation, motion to authorize directors of the officers to act on behalf of the authority during fiscal year 2018 and 2019. Do I have anyone in the public who would like to address any of these items on the consent calendar? Hearing none, I close public comment. Now open it for...
Entertain a motion.
I take a motion.
Looking for a motion for approval of the consent.
Looking for a motion for approval of the consent calendar.
Motion.
Second.
Tenth.
Okay. Roll call.
Board Member Bryant?
Yes.
Board Member Hill?
Yes.
Board Member Miller?
Yes.
Board Member Moore?
Yes.
Chairman Cryer?
Yes.
That's approved on a 5-0 line. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Reset. Go ahead and adjourn. You looking for a motion for adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Adjourn.
All right, very good.
Gotta have a vote. All in
Okay,
favor of adjournment? Aye.
I'm going to reopen the Taft City Council meeting just long enough to let you know that we're going to be going into closed session. For items A, conference with real property negotiator Craig Jones, city manager, government code section 54956.8, 308 Main Street, Taft, California 93268. Item B, conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, government code section 54956.9B, 2 potential cases. Thank you all very much for being a part of this evening's meeting.